money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Love Wednesdays. Love our next guest even more. Vito's son joins the program. Sal Paolantonio, who has covered the NFL, been at ESPN for more than 3 decades. Hall of Famer. He's on the Progressive guest line. And he just walked out of the Eagles locker room, just left Eagles practice. Sal Pal, thank you for the time as always. How did they look? More importantly, how did quarterback Jalen Hurts look?
You know, the team is very happy. All smiles here in South Philadelphia, Mitch and Pauly. The prodigal son, number one, is back on the practice field after a 3-week absence. So I was looking for 3 specific things on the practice field. They practiced at Lincoln Financial Field because the practice field here at the NovaCare complex across the street was all iced over. So we were on the field at Lincoln Financial Field looking for 3 things. His movement. His movement was with confidence. He was running with confidence. He showed that, you know, he could really run. It could really move laterally and, of course, vertically. No problem. Secondly, how was the ball coming out of his hands? Clean and crisp with a lot of velocity, a lot of trajectory, and good rotation on the ball, very accurate with the football. What specifically was I looking for? Well, it was really interesting. They had the 4x4 blocking dummies on their side, and he was straddling them, and he was using them to make sure he had the right balance and footwork when he threw the football. Now, it's very rare that he uses those blocking dummies, but they use it when players come out of concussion, when quarterbacks are coming out of the concussion protocol, because they really test their balance. The neurological balance of these players coming out of concussion protocol is so important. So there's 2 steps now. He's in phase 4 of the concussion protocol. Phase 4 means you can get back out onto the field. He can do football activities. He will be tested tonight, right away, after practice, to see how he responds and how the numbers look based on his original testing back 3 weeks ago, whether he's making progress. And then they will clear him for full contact. The doctor will clear him, and then the independent neurological consultant will clear him for full contact later in the week so he can play on Sunday. So he's got 2 more important hurdles to get over before he can get on the field Sunday.
Incredible job. That's why you're a Hall of Famer. Great answer. What's your level of concern with the other quarterback who Love says, I hope to play? The hand's okay, but maybe the elbow's giving him issues.
Well, you know, when you get hit in the funny bone, the ulnar nerve, in your, you know, if you're right-handed, let's say, you know, it's happened to all of us. Anybody, you play football, baseball, tennis, whatever it is, golf. What does it really impact? Not only your elbow, but your fingers, your grip, your accuracy. Remember, your arm strength comes from your arm, comes from your shoulder. Your accuracy comes from your fingers, especially the pinky finger in a football player, in a quarterback. The pinky finger is the last finger to leave the football laces. You got to have a good, solid grip on your pinky finger and your ring finger. That controls the accuracy of the football. And those 2 fingers are often impacted by a funny bone hit, by an ulnar muscle, ulnar bone hit. So that's really key, is accuracy for Jordan Love in this football game.
I think I can sense where you're going with this. You can call your shot if you would like. Is this game going to be a bloodbath, a burial when they get together on Sunday?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a total rollover by the Eagles. And I'll tell you why. There's a couple of interesting trends. First and foremost, Matt LaFleur is 19-16 outright as an underdog, including the playoffs. 19-16. He's the only coach in the Super Bowl era to have a winning record outright as an underdog. The Eagles are 8-11 in wild card games all time. They played 19 wild card games, more than any other team in NFL history. And they're 8-11. They've lost 3 straight wild card games at home. They haven't won a wild card game at home since 2006. So there are two big trends, in my view, that are going the wrong way for the Eagles. I like the Packers and the points.
Oh, surprise. Be careful now. The guy who cuts your lawn's an Eagle fan. The guy who cuts your hair's an Eagle fan. Your mailman's an Eagle fan.
I know. They're not listening, right? Of course they are. They're all listening to VSiN. But, you got to be super careful in these wild card games when you got two teams that know each other very well, two quarterbacks that are questionable going into this game. You got to be super careful. You had 146 games decided by one score or less, most in NFL history. This is a one-score league. These teams played one another in a one-score game back in Brazil. Remember, the Packers are the only team to have multiple interceptions against Jalen Hurts this season.
Mm-hmm.
They had two. He had 3 turnovers in that football game.
Yeah.
The Packers were 1 for 4 in the red zone. 1 for 4 in the red zone. If they are 2 for 4 in the red zone, they win the game.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game, too. Also, a little concerned with what Philly did and what they look like defensively against Washington. Do you see any game being a blowout then?
I do. I think Baltimore blows out Pittsburgh, and I think the Bills blow out the Broncos.
Okay.
The Broncos don't have very many wins against quality opponents, and the Steelers can't score. There's something going on with that Steelers offense. I like Baltimore and Buffalo in blowouts. I do.
Yep, so do I. What do you think about the first game? Chargers laying 2.5 or 3 against the Texans.
Yeah, I looked at that game, and it's really interesting. That game is a very interesting game because Houston plays well at home. Houston plays well in that first wild card game. They always have.
Yep.
And this is new territory for the Chargers. So I looked it up. Home underdogs in wild card games are 29-1 against the spread, 16-14 outright. I like Houston.
That strong? Damn.
I like
okay.
Houston.
All right. How about Washington and Tampa? I like the dog in this game. What do you think?
Favorites of at least 9 points or 15-1 outright. So that's why I like the Broncos and Baltimore in that game. The Bucs. The Bucs are an interesting team. They're 5-1 against teams with winning records this year. They play up to their level of competition. They really do. And Todd Bowles in his history has done really well against rookie quarterbacks, especially rookie quarterbacks that run. And in the fourth quarter of that game, it's a late game. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be as effective against the Bucs defense. I like the Bucs in that game.
Are you hearing anything at all? I know you've been at Eagles practice today, but what do you think happens with the game in Los Angeles Monday night with these horrific wildfires taking place?
I haven't really heard, gentlemen. I really haven't. I've been so focused here. So I have not. Obviously, we're just thinking and praying for those people. It's just an absolute horrible tragedy. And the last thing they need is a football game to
Yep.
The first thing is you got to get this thing straight. It's a terrible, terrible situation. We pray for them.
How much notice would you need if you're the league and to let everyone know if you're moving it out of that area?
I just don't know the answer to that question. I really don't. I don't know the answer to that. That's a 1-800-ADAM Schefter question.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I'll throw in a 1-800-ADAM Schefter question. That's it. Look on Schefter's social media. He'll be breaking the story before anybody else.
No kidding. Do you want to – okay, I asked you about calling your shot once. I'll ask you again here. Do you want to throw out 2 teams that are going to be playing on Super Bowl Sunday?
It's a little early.
I know.
Let's see. It's a little early. Let's see how Jalen Hurts does this week because I think the Eagles win the game. They squeak out a victory. I do believe that they do. And, I think they have the strongest roster in the NFC. But, and there's always a but, right, guys? You got to go up there and play Detroit in Detroit. And by the way, I called Detroit way over the Vikings, as you remember last week. I said I love Detroit in that game. And you look at what Aaron Glenn did.
Uh-huh.
So I know Aaron Glenn very, very well. I used to play basketball against him on the media team against the Jets coaches up in Cortland State University for a summer. And Aaron Glenn and I used to bang underneath the hoop all the time. He's a great guy. I love Aaron. The best. So I know, but he coached under Rex Ryan. So, and Rex Ryan's dad was Buddy Ryan. And Buddy Ryan was the author of the 46 defense. Blitz the safety up the middle. That was Buddy Ryan's defense that they threw at Sam Darnold. Lock, stock, and barrel. Took it right out of the Buddy Ryan playbook. And you can bet that Aaron Glenn, shorthanded on defense, is going to be blitzing every quarterback that comes into Detroit.
Yeah, that was great. In like 30 seconds here, which team in the AFC will go to Kansas City and beat them?
Good question. I think Baltimore is equipped to do it because their defense is better than Buffalo. But, and there is always a but, Lamar Jackson turns the ball over too much, and that's one thing that Josh Allen has cured this year. He has not turned the ball over like he has in the past. I think both teams are a little flawed. You know, the bottom line is Andy Reid's got too many options on offense now, and they control the middle of the field. And with that defense of Steve Spagnuolo, they're going to be really, really tough to beat. But we got a long road to go, baby.
Sure.
It's Super Wildcard Weekend. Come on, next week we'll talk about that.
All right.
You got it. Sal Pal, A+ appearance. Thank you.
We emptied the notebook today, baby.
You did for sure.
And bang it down low under the. Well, that is interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Willis. He's hurt though too.
I know.
That's a great breakdown on that elbow.
If you missed Derek Stevens' incredible Survivor story yesterday, you're going to hear it coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Coming up in 15 minutes, Mike Palm's going to join the show in studio, VP of Circa Resort and Casino. He was hanging around the sports book on Sunday when the Survivor contest was coming to a conclusion. Millions as well. We'll get his thoughts. If you missed the show yesterday, this is an all-time story that was told on the show, don't you think?
Yes. The hits kept coming. Oh, it was a fantastic 5 minutes.
It's on Twitter as well. Which it's been taken off since they posted it yesterday. It was Derek Stevens. He came in studio. Now, he is the owner and the CEO of Circa Resort and Casino. And again, for those of you unaware, Circa Survivor was down to 18 people on Sunday. And a bunch of those groups came out here and they were watching the games. Derek, they were wiring in money to hedge, and Derek was taking huge bets to hedge their position. And every entry at that point was worth more than $780,000, right? So here is part of the excruciating story of one person involved told by Derek Stevens. I want you to put yourself in this person's shoes as Derek is telling the story.
The one that had Arizona, that team name is called Vodka Johnny. Now, Vodka Johnny is a 6-person team. Johnny's the older brother, and Johnny is the guy that didn't want to press it after week 5, and the other 5 guys bought out Vodka Johnny.
Oh,
and no. the brother was goes, yeah, my brother Johnny, he wanted to sell his entry, but we did it, so we just all bought him out. So.
I
don't know.
So he was there with the other 5?
So the 6 guys, the 6 guys were there, and Johnny's the older brother. And I don't know why they call him Vodka Johnny or whatever. But
I don't know why.
But I would tell you, these other 5 guys, they drink a lot of vodka because these guys were nothing but characters. Like, yeah. So the whole thing about it is, we bought it. We said, okay. He said he was busy, was working, didn't want to do it. So what we did is we made a pact. We weren't going to talk about it at all with him anymore. We never did. He never did. We got through Thanksgiving. We never said it. Never got brought up again. He just forgot about it. We just bought him out, for a little bit. So yeah, we just told him. We told him yesterday we're still in.
No.
Mike goes, my brother's going crazy.
I bet.
I go, he didn't know. He goes, no, Vodka Johnny didn't know. But we bought him out. But
my God. So he didn't know, he wasn't here, none of it.
No, he wasn't.
Oh my gosh!
And he didn't know that the rest of their crew made it.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
It's an unbelievable story. They're all going to be coming back for check ceremony on Friday night. I want to get more of this story.
Or Johnny. By the way, when you go back and look, after 5 weeks, every ticket was worth more than $60,000. That's how many people got wiped out of the contest already.
Right. So, what do you think they gave them? Number one, and then to keep it a secret. There's a lot here. There's a lot to get into. As we briefly got into it at the end of the show about do you throw him something, which I think you have to for his peace of mind.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't want to ruin his life.
I think each guy needs to probably give him like 5 dimes.
It's going to haunt him forever.
You're going to go to your grave thinking about that.
Yeah.
How are you not? You're going to hate the NFL now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're never going to want to get into a contest ever again. And I actually brought it up. That's like 2 minutes of the whole 5-minute story that Derek told. Again, it's up at on the VSiN account, VSiN Live on Twitter if you want to go check it out there. Is it actually going to ruin the relationship between he and everybody else involved in the family?
Because if they don't throw him something?
No, just,
I mean, it's not. How do you?
You're probably going to be jealous if you're Johnny Vaca.
How about not bringing it up? How about you tell him, hey, here we go, still alive, 1.7 million?
I don't mind that part, actually.
Okay. The other angle to this is Mike Palm's coming in, and Mike Palm was right there with Derek Stevens when the brother is sitting there with Arizona, and all the early games, all 4 teams were either losing or in big trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And he's thinking about, oh, my God, what's going through my mind? And he just went off for 3 minutes straight, and Palm's right there with Derek, and he's going to tell the whole story coming up. The other angle is, we'll go back. I think of the George Clooney story, who was involved, I think it was tequila or something, but he did very well in alcohol and made a ton of money, and he was a struggling actor at a time and sleeping on people's couches, whatever, and he invited I think it was 9 friends. He invited them all over to the house and says, okay, here, and each guy got a bag of luggage, a piece of luggage, suitcase, and it was $1 million cash in it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that story.
He goes, you guys have been so good to me. I'll never forget it. Things are going well for me. I just did great with this alcohol sponsorship, whatever it was. And the one guy said, I'm rich. I don't need this. No, I'm your friend. He goes, if you don't take it, no one gets any money.
Okay. Wow.
So he had to take it, and he all gave him $1 million cash.
Holy smokes.
But that goes back to you got to give the guy something here for peace of mind too. But the other thing is out there in the audience, ftm@vsin.com, or you can tweet at us. Do you know a Vodka Johnny? Do you know whether, I don't know, memorabilia? I know a couple people, Bitcoin. Had the Bitcoin. Get rid of it.
I'm guessing the Bitcoin stories, if you throw this out there.
Sure.
Somebody knows somebody.
Remember the guy paid for it with pizza? Ordered 2 pizzas or something?
Yep.
Paid for it with Bitcoin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Remember the guy who had, at the time, this goes back when we were doing the show over at the South Point years ago.
Yes.
The guy had, at the time, it was worth $100 million, I believe.
Yep.
And he was down to his last combination.
Or the password.
And he could not remember the password to save his life?
Yeah, it would lock him out if he couldn't.
Yeah.
One more wrong guess. Yes.
I can't imagine how many good Bitcoin or horrible Bitcoin stories actually exist.
Yeah. Bitcoin, stock, get in Apple early, whatever. FTM@vsin.com or tweet at us at VSiN Live or at Pauly Howard, Mitch Moss Radio. Good memorabilia could be another one, too. Who's to think what this stuff would be worth? You had no idea. Oh, I had this stamp, I don't know, collection of whatever. Comic books, I had this and that. I see this guy, yesterday I'm reading a story. This guy was collecting Star Wars stuff when he was a kid, like I did, like normal people in the early 80s. It's worth $300,000.
What do you mean? What kind of Star Wars stuff?
Like the toys and everything?
Yeah, I think I have some of those.
Yeah, we had them, collected them. It's like he had a $300,000 Star Wars collection. Yeah. What it was worth, and
I never even saw the movie until 5 years ago. I had those figurines. I didn't know what they were.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, sure, big deal. Millennium Falcon, put it together. You get it for Christmas, the Yoda, whatever.
Oh, you're probably throwing them against the walls as a kid, beating the daylights out of them.
It goes back to the baseball cards, basketball cards.
Right.
Like the Michael Jordan rookie. Who knew? 1985.
You know what I used to do when I was younger with football cards? I would take the offensive guys that I would have at every position, line them up.
Yeah.
Tackle, guard, center, all the way through. Then the quarterback I wanted on the field, a couple of receivers, a tight end, some running backs, and I would do the same thing on defense. And I'd sit there and I'd play. How young was I? I had 2 older brothers. I'm probably 6 years old. I'd take cards and I'd smash them together like this. Hey, then I'd run the play in my mind, and there was a 12-yard run by Tony Dorsett. What were those cards worth?
Yeah.
Now they're garbage. Start a fire with them. But how did we know?
I didn't want to reach out to the guy. I'd let him be. Let Vodka Johnny
Vodka
be.
Johnny?
Let him be. Well, last thing he will come on and rehash the story and the regret and
No, I reached out to the guy from the group.
Yeah.
Derek said it'd be worth reaching out for him.
I know, but
I did. I didn't want to know. Vodka Johnny, the guy who sold his piece, I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Suicide mission. Watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the other guys in the group, if they want to come on, it'd be great. This is Jesse on X, tweeted this yesterday.
You're right. The Bitcoin stories have to be coming in.
Biggest loss in stock market history. Apple had a third co-founder. His name was Ronald Wayne. He left 2 weeks after joining Apple, sold his 10% equity back to Steve Jobs for $800. This goes back a year, 2 years ago, whatever it was. That would have been worth $300 billion. Any regrets there? Can't imagine.
God.
Even if you give the guy some money, how does he get over it? And I do agree with not telling him.
Yeah? Do you?
I do. But then is it better? But it's impossible to hold it against him and avoid talking to him the entire time after you won. You're going to have to spill the beans at some point.
Well, if you're going to keep it a secret, why bring it up in the last, okay.
No, probably because it's like
find out,
after week 5, did they really think they're going to make a run all the way to the title?
Yeah.
Maybe that was built into it, I guess. I don't know. If I'm Vodka Johnny, I don't even want to know.
That's right.
I don't even tell him.
That's right. How much input did he have, too?
Before they bought him out?
Like maybe did it benefit them that maybe...
Now, here's the thing, right? When I reach out to the guy, he did get back to me right away. Again, not Vodka Johnny, somebody else in the group. And he said, I need at least a day to think about it. I'm completely overwhelmed. And I said, of course, I 100% understand. And if you don't want to, you don't want to.
Yeah.
That's
and it's gonna be
totally his decision, and I'm okay with that.
Sure.
But
between the documentary and what Derek was saying, that these guys,
the documentary
they're all
is going to be
characters, right? And everyone's coming back Friday to get their checks.
Yeah.
And the presentation, and walk down the street with the big checks.
Yeah. FTM@vsin.com if you know somebody like Vodka Johnny. Again, it could be the Bitcoin, could be stock, whatever. Also on X at vsin Live and Mitch Moss Radio, Pauly Howard. Mike Palm's going to join the program coming up next. What was going through his mind as that story was being told, and who does he like in the playoffs this weekend?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Coming up in a minute, Mike Palm's going to join us, VP, Circa Resort and Casino. We're talking and asking you, the audience, if you know somebody like Vodka Johnny, who after 5 weeks sold his share of the entry, one of the entries that went on to win Circa Survivor, and now that group's going to split $1.7 million, but Vodka Johnny is out. This is from Nemesis Enforcer on X, Bitcoin story. Hit 2 parlays offshore, 2015, totally 2,100. They paid out in 3 Bitcoin. I cashed out on Coinbase, drove to Dallas, went to Thanksgiving Day Cowboys with my daughter. Wish I had sat on one of them.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are good.
Yeah, Mike Palm is here. You were standing right next to Vodka Johnny when he told that story.
Well, the brother. The brother is the leader of the group.
Sure, the guy, yeah.
Vodka Johnny is the older brother who sold out his share early on. So I know Derek told the wonderful story of the group, and he gave a great speech, which I'm sure will be played in a large part, or maybe the whole part, when the Circa Survivor 2 documentary comes out, The Quest for $14.2 million. At the time we were talking to him, the other 17 entries were all on the morning games, and they were all losing. And there was a chance that heading into Arizona against the 49ers, he would have had a shot to scoop the 14.2. And he didn't know what to really think at that point. I mean, what was he going to do? How many were going to be out? If this happens, how much money can I get a hold of? Because now I'm not hedging to win $790,000. It's the difference between $790 and $14.2. It's $13.4 million. So told an incredible story of just what it's meant to his group. The fact that they were sure they were out of it. They had the Rams the previous week, and as Arizona drove down the field, they were sick. They knew it was over. First and goal at the 5, and then thank God for Kyler Murray sticking in the ear hole at 120 miles an hour, and then the ridiculous interception as well. And he said, by the way, the ball never moved. It's clearly an interception. I said, well, the ground. He didn't want to debate it, but I said, how did you come up with the team name, Vodka Johnny? Well, that's my older brother who's no longer in. We bought him out, but he says the guy is so cheap. All he would ever do is complain about how much they charge for vodka in Las Vegas. So he started bringing his own vodka in the suitcase.
Come on.
So we named him Vodka Johnny.
There we go. Yes.
So cheap.
Do you have any idea what they bought him out for?
I don't know. We never asked. We never asked.
Would you throw?
But the brother didn't even know because they never told him the whole way through until the last day.
How about it?
Is that the right move?
Huh? I think it's the right move.
Yeah.
Absolutely the right move.
How would you have played it? If all those teams lost?
I would have. Well, you're sitting on 800,000 no matter what.
Yeah.
But I would have tried to middle it a little bit with the 49ers and maybe taking a little money. Maybe you give up a couple million.
You have to.
Right? Don't you
have to.
Don't you
Yes.
give up a couple million to try to win 5 or 6?
Yes.
You'd be happy with. You're right. Happy with 10. If you could level it out to 10 and 6, I guess it's all depends on, they're chopping it 4 ways or whatever. So
Right.
they all have to come to a consensus. But what a position to be in. And the sweat was just unbelievable in the morning. Like everything that could go wrong for those teams went wrong. I mean, we'll get into this and you cannot be serious, but I think the 2 people that had the Packers have the grounds to file a lawsuit against LaFleur. I mean, I really do. We'll break it down in the next segment. But I mean, the Colts, how about the Colts game? And so everybody kind of found each other, right? Everybody, the people that had the Falcons found themselves in one pod, and the Colts people were sitting next to each other. The Bucs people were all the way down at the end. I said, what is Peterson doing? He's going to get fired anyhow. He's kicking a field goal with 1:45 left. The Colts have 3 timeouts. What are the odds the Colts aren't going to get at least a field goal? Well, they didn't and had to go to overtime. I mean, the swings of emotions in these games. I mean, Spencer Rattler all of a sudden looked like Joe Montana in the first half. I mean,
He
just
did.
Everything that went on. It was totally ludicrous.
Would you throw Vodka Johnny some money?
Well, come on. It's your brother, too.
Yeah, you have
Right?
to.
Yeah.
I'd buy him a bunch of vodka. Give him $100,000
Here you
worth
go.
of vodka.
You're set
Say,
for a
here
while.
you go, buddy. Don't worry about the prices. I'd do something just a little sticky to him. But
Do you know a Vodka Johnny?
I
A Bitcoin, a stock,
well,
Apple?
I think a lot of people had Bitcoin early and never
Yeah.
mentioned it. Jeff Benson held on to his.
Really?
I think that's part of the reason why he's so aggressive on Twitter, right? Maybe he doesn't need another job the rest of his life because he certainly wouldn't get one if he left here. But not in this industry. Let's clarify that. There'll be plenty of these shots Friday night at the check ceremony. Okay, well, you've been to them before, Paul.
No, it's fun.
They're a lot of fun.
It's good.
I was last year. It was fantastic.
It's a lot. Isn't
I think
it?
I'll be down
We're
there
going to
again
start
on
a little
Friday
late
night.
this year because of the
game. Yeah.
Unless Ohio State's up 40, then we can let's get it rolling in the fourth period, but fourth quarter. But otherwise, we'll probably start around 8, where we usually start around 6.
Do you know how much money you guys would have given back had we had a tie or 2? Because 2 of those games went
The
to
tie
overtime.
would have been worse than the Carolina game. That was the bad result. People really didn't bet the Bears. There really weren't hedges on the Bear game. So that was irrelevant to us that they beat the Packers.
Interesting.
There was a lot on the
that
Tampa.
big of a point spread?
Yeah, a lot on the Tampa game and a lot on the Atlanta game. But we did some quick calculating that it was a worse result for a tie than for Carolina winning that game for us by a factor of about 1.8.
Oh,
we
my
still got
God.
crushed on the game, right? We still
right.
got crushed. But it could have been a lot worse. Tampa loses too. It would have been really, really, really ugly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
'Cause
it would have
they-
been. It would have been like a $3 million losing Sunday. So
Wow, because the Tampa Bay backers were taking the Saints' money line and the points, yeah?
yes, a lot of money line,
That's a 13.5 point spread,
Yes.
14-point spread.
Yeah. So
All right. We talked to that, by the way, thank you. You helped set that up on
Monday?
Monday,
Yeah.
Steven came in from Pumaback,
Yeah.
one of the winners from Montreal. They said that they took Jacksonville money line, no points. They could have won both bets.
They could have. Absolutely. And so there was a lot of different ways to play it. I mean, you could have done the money line parlay of your opponent's teams, right? As the same thing. And in fact, you got the right one to lose, just like the week before. The one with the most lost.
Yep.
The one with the most, Atlanta lost. The one the week before, the one but by far the most, the Colts lost, right? It's just very interesting how it broke down when we went from talking about was there going to be 34 people to being down to 8. That would have been way under my number.
This is from Moneyline Marv on X. His friend, think about this for a second. His friend bought 10 Bitcoins in 2007, 4,000 each. His laptop needed a repair. When he got it back, they erased the hard drive. He did not have a backup. Still has not gotten over to this day.
Where do those go? What happens to them? They're in the ether?
They're fairy dust.
They're in
It's out there. It's out there, brother.
Yeah, it's out there.
Got to get there. It's out there. Just got to grab it, right? Oh, my God, the insanity. My dad was involved with something like that where he two doctors.
Vodka? Right?
Yes, he was.
Okay, yeah.
The cheap stuff, believe it or not, the Kharkov, whatever. But he would, I think 2 doctors wanted to join up and do their own thing, and he said no, and then went to like Piers, Minnesota, lunacy, to run his own thing, and these guys went on to be real hot
it's like
shots.
that's like Breaking Bad all over again. Second Breaking Bad reference of the day, gray matter. Walter White wanted nothing to do with gray matter.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Very good.
That your dad was Walter White.
That's good. A little bit, yeah.
But in the alcohol business, not the...
Sure.
Yeah.
Couldn't make the meth. Yeah,
Okay.
bad job. Yeah. Oh, boy. I would think more the memorabilia, though, thing, too. Who knows what you'd be sitting on anything. Comic books, autograph stuff, baseball cards,
course.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your big one, too.
My dad always said if my mother would have kept all my baseball cards, it'd been worth $500,000 for sure.
Yeah?
Right when he was a kid collecting cards, but they didn't know what they'd be worth at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go in the Navy, and your mother gets rid of the stuff.
That's what happened to my dad. My dad
Right.
swore to let
Yep.
my dad passed away almost 5 years ago. He said over and over and over again, I had 3 Mickey Mantles when I went into the Air Force. Came back, gone. So do you like anything in the wild card round?
So I immediately bet the Rams +3 because I thought the number would come down, and maybe I'd have to lay 140. It's already a dead straight pick 'em when
Yep.
I looked a couple. Well, what if they move this game?
Yeah.
Because of
But
the fire.
I think that's got to happen.
You think it will be moved?
You've got to move the game.
Where do you move it to?
Here or...
Here,
Or Phoenix?
Yeah.
What about St. Louis? There's more Rams fans in St. Louis than there are in L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
bad.
distance.
But
but
easier
talk-
for Vikings fans to get there
Easier
too,
for
probably.
Vikings. I'm sure they won't. It's too far. How about the Fargo Dome? Anyhow,
What is your house? What are the house rules here on that game if it gets moved?
that we took away the radius clause. We
you
took
did?
it away.
Took it away.
Used to be 100 miles from the original site of the game. We eliminated it. All it is 8 days from scheduled. So
8 days from
let's
schedule.
go here, no matter where they play it.
Ooh,
Okay.
Juicy.
I
Real
think
juicy.
the Rams are a dangerous team in the NFC. But I think
Who is not a dangerous team?
in the NFC, I think it's
Tampa.
completely loaded.
You think Tampa because of the
Not
pass
dangerous.
defense?
Not dangerous.
I bet
that was so easy what Rattler was doing. Too easy.
I bet Jaden Daniels over 234.5 passing yards. 3 straight quarterbacks, including Cooper Rush, just went up and down the field against that
Good point.
secondary.
Fair.
Yeah.
Why would you ever run the ball if you're Washington, unless it's Daniels scrambling?
If
So
Vita
that's
Vea,
what I-
by the way, if Vita Vea is playing, then there is no reason to try to
It's
run
very
the ball.
tough to run against him.
Yep.
So
VSiN fans, you're in luck. Derek Stevens offering you 15% off at 3 incredible properties, Circa, the D, and Golden Gate. Whether you're lounging by the pool or enjoying all the excitement Vegas has to offer, you'll save big with promo code VSiN15. Book your stay now. CircaLasVegas.com. Use VSiN15. Get 15% off. Your Vegas adventure starts here. CircaLasVegas.com.
Best shower I've had in my life, bar none. End of story. You're a Notre Dame guy. Are you afraid of tomorrow night's game?
Well, first of all, I'm not one of these self-loathing Notre Dame people like Powers and Tim Murray who always go against them in any big game. They just completely emotionally hedge the game with the bets. I liked them against Georgia. I think Penn State's more talented offensively, and if Allard doesn't turn the ball over, slight advantage Penn State, but it's a toss-up game.
Okay. All right. Very good. More with Mike Palm coming up next, including You Cannot Be Serious here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Good to have you aboard here on a Wednesday. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We're live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. And here you go with Mike Palm, VP of this great property. Time for You Cannot Be Serious.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Let's start out with an organization, the Tennessee Titans. This is just unfathomable to me, and it's the first time it's happened in history. And they went off as favorites again. Did you know they went off as favorites 6 times this year? The Titans were favored in 6 games this year, and of course 0-6 against the spread as a favorite, and 2-9 as a dog. 2-15 against the spread. This will never, ever, ever happen again in the history of professional football. Maybe in sports on any 19-game run that you can go, 17-game run that you can go 2-15. The Titans, the Tennessee Titans.
You cannot be serious.
How about our boy Gerard Mayo? Now, I always had a level of weariness about him because of the way the whole Belichick thing went down. He was Belichick being groomed, and then how he met with Kraft secretly and all that. And then you think, well, there's some sympathy for the guy because what was this team going to do? I mean, they won 4 games. The roster is completely devoid of talent. I mean, it's awful. It's this much below the rest of the league. And they have a good young quarterback. Then he got prickly in the press conferences. So it was I thought it was a little surprising that immediately Kraft came out and fired him after the game. And here comes this story now. Off the bye week, New England goes to Arizona. I watched this whole game because I had several in-game bets on the total. Got absolutely waxed by a 6-7 Cardinal team at the time that was in a free fall. Remember, they'd gone from being 2 games up in the division to having lost 3 in a row. They were down 23-3 early in the fourth. Eventually, a couple garbage time touchdowns. They lose 30-17. Now the long flight home back to Boston. The rest of the assistant coaches are on the front of the plane watching the game tape. What's Gerard Mayo do? He went to the back of the plane and played cards with the players. Looked at no tape at all. I have no empathy whatsoever for him. Gerard Mayo.
You cannot be serious.
More stories out of Miami from the barista, McDaniel. How these guys now were consistently late to meetings all year. You saw Tyreek Hill quit with no real apparent injury or new injury. Just didn't go back in, took himself out of the game. And now they address these things with McDaniel about, is it true? Right? McAfee came out about the Colts culture. People didn't show up for meetings, didn't show up for their training sessions. That there was a group of guys consistently late for every meeting in Miami. And he fined them each and every time, although the fines did not at all change their behavior. I go back to it once again. They didn't want Vic Fangio. They never wanted an adult in the room down there. They didn't want Brian Flores. They didn't want Vic Fangio. He coached him too hard. And this is what you get. This goofy barista wearing capris in Green Bay, Wisconsin at night on Thanksgiving. Mike McDaniel!
You cannot be serious.
You know, the Steelers are the only team in the history of the NFL to enter the playoffs on 4 straight losses.
Oh.
That's never happened before. And it's only happened like 3 times that teams had 3 straight losses. Again, the fourth quarter with Tomlin is always baffling to me. He gives up so early in games. We've seen it 3 or 4 different times this year. I get it was 4th and 18. So they kicked the 54-yard field goal. You make a one-score game with 2:39 left on Saturday. And, amazingly, the Bengals go 3 and out. And you get the ball back under 2 minutes with 1 timeout left. And what do you do with Russell Wilson? Throw 3 passes inbound short of the sticks to run the whole clock down.
Yep.
They gained 17 yards and took 1 minute and 10 seconds off the clock out of 1 minute and 51. This was your plan? If we could do, we'll kick a 54-yard field goal. We'll stop them. We'll only have to use 2 timeouts. And when we get the ball back, we'll throw 2-yard passes over the middle. This was the plan? Mike Tomlin.
You cannot be serious.
I want to address the college football playoffs, guys, because I find this very, very interesting. And I think it's all a result of the way they did the seedings this year. But here's some very interesting facts. You know, Derek had predicted that those games on campus, the only sellout would be Notre Dame. Not true. Drew tremendous crowds at all 4 games. But did you know in the quarterfinal round, this on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, that only the Rose Bowl sold out? There were empty seats in every stadium except the Rose Bowl. And here's an even more damning fact. The viewership for the SMU Penn State game, okay, in the first round of the playoffs, it was outdrawn by 3 bowl games. The Pop-Tart Bowl had more viewers.
Well, I get that one.
The Alamo Bowl had more viewers because of Colorado. And the ReliaQuest Bowl all had more viewers than the first round game of the playoff between SMU and Penn State. This is very, very clear evidence they've got to change the seeding. I mean, look at the seeding. It's 5, 8, 6, 7. It's all the teams that didn't get the byes that could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, and you wouldn't have got these matchups where you didn't get sellouts in the second round. College Football Committee and the NCAA.
You cannot be serious.
All right, then let's go back to Matt LaFleur. And, you know, I felt very bad for the people that had the Packers. I thought the Packers was a safe play in Survivor, and I said this. Why would you want to go to Philadelphia when you could go to L.A. or Tampa or Atlanta, right? Why would you want to go back and play Philadelphia again? You're playing the Bears. The Bears had lost 10 games in a row, right? They were in a complete free fall. You beat them all the time for the past decade and a half. Let's just start out. We'll just take the fourth quarter. Let's just examine the fourth. Forget about the fake punt where they didn't know what they were doing.
How did that work, by the way?
They all had no idea. Can't you track the ball in the air?
Untouched.
I've seen that happen in college. I've very rarely seen it happen in the pros. The Bears had one first down, and they were up 2 scores. The very first play of the fourth quarter, they're on the Chicago 37-yard line facing 4th and 3. Okay? Now, you're down by 1 at the time. Why wouldn't you just bring McManus in and kick the field goal to take the lead and put the pressure back on Caleb Williams and the Bears? You know he's got the range from there. We've seen it. And in the cold weather, him do it at night, in fact. No. We're going to run 4th down. We're going to run a jet sweep and lose 5 yards. What are they doing? That play to Jaden Reed never had any chance in the world. They had no blocking out in front for him at all. I thought that was ludicrous. Then the Bears were snapping the ball with 1 second left on the clock every time. I said, what? You know what Thomas Brown's trying to do? He's trying to have a 57-yard drive that lasts 13 minutes. And then they break the play and they score the touchdown. They go for 2 and don't get it. They move the ball to the 1 and then they kick the point. I don't know. Let's just move back. So I had a big middle set up on the game as well. And out of the 2-minute warning, I bet the Packers plus $4 on the money line. Because the Bears are not going to run out the clock. The Packers are going to go 50 yards and kick a field goal to win the game, right? Go ahead. They fumbled the first play out of the 2-minute warning. They fumbled the first play, DJ Moore on that goofy slant. David Haw, who's on TV and radio in Chicago, had a great line. Whoever the Bears' next head coach they hire must swear they get rid of the bubble screen. And has to come out. They run that all the time. They lose yards every time. Yeah. So they fumble the ball. Here's what I don't know. Why was LaFleur in such a rush to kick this field goal and give the Bear a minute? He runs for 6 yards on first down, and they're in a no huddle, hurrying up to run on second down. He runs for another 2 yards. He has 3rd and 2. He goes into the no huddle again and then calls a timeout on 4th and 4 to leave the Bears 50 seconds. The Bears had 1 timeout. If you don't call the timeout, they're calling it. What are you doing? You gave the Bears the maximum amount of time to come back and win this game, and you let them save your timeout. What is he doing? Under any thought process, that kick isn't the last play of the game. Matt LaFleur.
You cannot be serious.
That's the segment this week.
How come that game came across to me as if the Packers had zero sense of urgency to win the game when the Commanders were in trouble?
They were losing the whole game in Dallas.
Game.
Okay, very good. I'm surprised at you. He didn't care. He wasn't calling timeouts on defense, and both quarterbacks were hurt. He wanted to get out of there. Remember, both guys were hurt.
Then why run hurry up at the end?
Well, he ran in the line 3 times. Just wanted to.
I know, but he's running hurry up.
He didn't care.
Well, the whole thing I thought was bad.
He settled for a 55-yard field goal. He just happened to make it because he wasn't calling timeouts.
No, he was not calling timeouts.
He let it go down to the 2-minute warning.
Which was so weird to me when I'm watching the game unfold.
He was just going to take the L.
Well, he still had 3. He hadn't used a timeout yet.
Why wouldn't you take one, though?
Yeah.
Well,
it didn't make
you're
any
supposed
sense.
to take him on the other side. But the Bears still needed 1 more first down coming. And that's why I bet the Packers play. I said they're not going to make a first down, and the Packers are going to get the ball back. Let's be real also. Willis played better than Love in the game.
We had Sal Paolantonio on 50 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He made the case for the Packers. Love is banged up.
Well, this is big, yeah.
The elbow,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Love got cleared.
Grip, it was a beautiful answer. With the grip and
Do you think Ohio State rolls?
Oh, yeah. Okay, this Texas offense is... think about this. They go 2 plays, 70 yards, touchdown against Arizona State. Then they run the kickback, and they did nothing again until overtime.
They were getting absolutely killed in that game.
This offense goes into lulls that last 2 quarters. Ohio State will get so far out ahead of them, it's not going to be funny.
I don't disagree. I
laid 6 away.
Yeah,
I didn't want it to get to 7.
Okay, I said earlier I think this is going to be UConn in college basketball last year.
Could be.
Good chance, right? We're looking
Let's
back.
go back and just replay that Michigan game. How could that be? You got 2 and 4. You can't stop either of them, and 2 of the best 5 running backs in the country in your backfield.
Great job, Mike. We'll see you Friday night.
Friday night, 8 o'clock.
Yep. One of the games of the year in the NBA tonight. We'll discuss next.